win the Armageddon or he's out of the tournament.
And opening with the
Another
king
French. Nodirbek not against repeating that line. He got an advantage last time around. And he says, let's play it again. But he chooses a different move, pawn to a3. I mentioned that's the other option. But Kramnik, of course, prepared for all these eventualities. And I liked what he did in the first game better. This, I think, is fine for Black.
Yeah. Well, Black's position is solid, and Nodirbek stating his aggressive intentions already by saying, hey, don't
Kramnik,
castle kingside.
Because there's a target. You can go b5, b4 against this king on c1. Don't like how this went for Nodirbek.
Ooh, that looks tricky, to say the least.
Very much so. Also important, Black can make his moves very quickly, while Nodirbek now has to take a moment, trying to figure out where the target is.
And he steps forward with a queen. Are we going to see b5? Yes.
Sure. Now White will try to counter in the center, going e takes d5, opening the position up before he gets crushed there on the queen side.
And Kramnik, well, his heart rate has gone up to 130. How do you think he's feeling?
He keeps shuffling around. That's a bit passive. Knight to e2. Yeah, computer hates it, not surprisingly. D takes e4 is there, knight f6 is there, and pawn to b4 is there. Nodirbek's trying to keep the queen side closed. He's paying a high price.
He is paying a high price. I was a bit baffled by that last move.
Knight to f6 looks very strong.
Yeah.
The knight can jump to g4, and there comes the knight.
Oh.
This has not gone well for up to Satorov.
And okay, still early days though. Kramnik with 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and Nodirbek 4 minutes, and there is no increment whatsoever in Armageddon. What you see on the clock is what you get.
Kramnik going for the endgame.
Endgame, oh.
Allowing Nodirbek to somewhat stabilize.
Have to.
Of course, he has in mind
have to take it.
that he's trying to provoke queen to a2, because then the c6 pawn is hanging, so he's still waiting. Also hoping for short castles, which will allow checkmate in 1, queen h7.
Yeah, and it would be a miracle for Nodirbek if Kramnik fell into that, but okay,
now it looks
Kramnik?
like White can maybe try to push a little bit. Knight to e5. This looks pleasant all of a sudden.
Knight's gonna come to
Kramnik's done
c4.
something wrong, I don't even know what. But this all of a sudden looks very unpleasant, because the two bishops aren't doing anything. The king can't get out of the middle. White just has to find a way to improve his position. He decides on pushing the pawns.
Well, he's offering his bishop up for a trade, and also
he's not taking.
He's not taking. I was also wondering whether the king could stop running at the right time. Obviously not now.
He needs target. He will go h5, then rook h3, rook g3, try to attack that pawn on g7. Textbook play from up to Satorov.
Centralizing the rook.
Just in time to meet rook g3 with king to f8. Nice defense by the 14th world champion. Does it anyway, but now what's next? Rook to the middle.
Looks good. I'm also tempted to go knight c4 just for fun. Okay, the rook doubles up and solidifying the pawn structure. Nice stuff from Nodirbek, and wow, Nodirbek actually with less time.
No, don't look at that one.
Oh,
if we
sorry.
Look at the actual clock. Nodirbek is slightly ahead, not by much, but it's 2:46 versus 2:30. I was surprised because Nodirbek is always so quick. There you go. There you can see it.
Yeah, my bad. Okay, now breaking out in the center. Very good stuff.
Beck will try to keep it close with pawn to d5, but maybe he cannot because the pawn on a4 is hanging. Did he miss that? See, the standard reaction would be to push your pawn up to d5, but he can't do it, so he has to allow further exchanges. That should solve most of Kramnik's problems.
And pawn takes
there he goes.
That's still not easy.
No. Knight on c4 is pretty strong, targeting the a5 pawn. How's Kramnik gonna fix it? Defends it with the rook. Asking Nodirbek to make any progress.
Also, there's a threat on the h5 pawn. Don't forget to look both ways.
Oh, I did not, but he can still cover it. Pawn to g4 or bishop to f3. Yeah, he steps back.
Are we gonna see? Okay, bishop attacks the rook. Very
Giving
nice.
the rook is square on d6. Is it
But hang on a second then.
tempting?
The white king is not safe because the bishop can park itself on c3 and then, you know.
Noticed, but it.
Oh, nice. Nice idea from Kramnik.
Yeah, trying to free his position. Taking the pawn. If white recaptured, he would take the knight, but Nodirbek has his eyes set on the a5 pawn to restore the material balance. Kramnik thinking about it. What's the clock?
Don't think
He's
too
been
long.
fast enough. He's been fast enough so far. But Nodirbek not going for exchanges. He knows he has to win.
Well, he said
This
in
is
the chat.
Armageddon.
It is the Armageddon, and the knight is threatening to come to d6 and win the bishop. So king steps forward.
What?
Just Turov.
Check.
Yeah.
Also playing the clock nicely there, making Kramnik decide on every move.
What's he gonna do? Step back with
Go
the
back.
king?
Draws enough. E2. What's that about? He's covering the knight so that after pawn to a4 he can now capture it.
But
And his knight is protected.
But the
Looks
clock
very slow.
situation is worrying. Kramnik now ticking down to the minute mark, whereas Nodirbek has just under 2 minutes.
Bishop d8, solid move, keeping everything covered. Kramnik is perfectly fine on the board. But once again, you have to finish the game in the time given.
And you were right with the strategy. Okay, now he's locking down the bishop, and obviously, and there is a big threat of bishop takes pawn. But the position is still not easy for Kramnik to handle. And okay, this is a nice move. That knight was very pesky. Okay, now we see a trade of pieces.
I'm not sure I like that try. Rook c3 I like. And once again, Kramnik not always putting his pieces in the cleanest possible way. He's still fine with the extra pawn and the active rook. Can Nodirbek make this a fight? Because Kramnik has 39 seconds. You have to make him work here. And he goes for a repetition, smart choice.
Yeah.
Very hard for Nodirbek to avoid it. Kramnik knows, of course, you can see the little head shake there. How's Nodirbek gonna ask a question here?
Wow.
We'll have to part ways with the g3 and potentially the f4 pawn to keep the game going. Wants to go 95 check. King steps back. Yeah, this is desperate measures, but he has no choice. This is Armageddon. Gotta keep the game going.
Yeah. And the king is going to take a step back, and Kramnik just blitzing
now
out the moves.
speeding
He
up.
doesn't
He's, of
have so
course,
much
winning.
time.
And Nodirbek desperately
He's gonna throw in a
looking
jack.
for a way to
Rook
make a
takes
fight out
pawn.
of it.
Not an easy, still not easy for
Oh
Kramnik.
no, and Kramnik. You can see he's lost a bit of control, but he's still not in trouble on the board. He's on the clock though. Nodirbek looking for a way to ask another question. It's not obvious how to do it. Gives a couple checks, allows the black king to centralize. And those were a bunch of pleasantly quick moves for Kramnik, also improving his situation by running the king up the board.
Oh no.
Kramnik bring the rook back, losing a pawn in the process. Yeah, this is the stage of the game where sometimes
Okay.
you see Kramnik's hand
Kramnik,
drifting a
no
little
time, 10 seconds. He's not
bit. Time
gonna
is
do
running
it.
out. Is he gonna be upset about being
Well,
flagged in a
he's-
good position or not?
Well, he's blundered away.
Gotta
but
play it
this
out,
is a draw.
and yeah, but you can't move the pawn forward to 2 squares and put it wherever you like. Arbiter, do something.
And okay, there's just no way it's gonna happen. And we see
Kramnik flagged, but
lose
yeah,
time.
he's not happy about it. He did, however, know that this is Armageddon and white has to win the game. After Satorov did what he had to do.